Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is lecture number 1. The name of the paper is Introduction to Literature 2. The topic is theme analysis and it is specifically for the students of BS second semester GDC PIB and also for students of those colleges which are affiliated with Abdul Wali Khan University. If you have a look at your course contents, these are your course contents. The first topic is what is novel and various types of novel. We will discuss this one also, but I'll start from here. If you have a look at these topics: plot, setting, character, characterization, story. It's the same thing: character, characterization, story, narrative, devices, narrative techniques. All these topics are included in fiction, the elements of fiction. So all these are actually the elements of fiction. And this lecture, I said it is lecture number 1, but actually it is lecture number 2 because we have already done lecture number 1 in the classroom at the college. Our lecture number 1 was character analysis, and today's lecture, which actually is lecture number 2, is theme analysis. So in the elements of fiction, the first element which we have already discussed is character analysis. We first had an overview of this, then we discussed what is meant by characterization and what are those points which are important for understanding characters, and we did them by number. These were the points, we took them by number. We also discussed the kinds of characters. Protagonist was defined, antagonist was defined, round character, flat character, stereotype, and foil. These were the 6 types of characters, and then different examples. Then we discussed the fictional characters and their traits. What are the characteristics of the traits of different characters? Then we discussed the first topic, characters' physical appearance and name. Why are they important and what do they tell us, with examples. Then we discussed characters' actions. Why are the actions important, and how can we understand a character with the help of actions? We did this one with examples again. The next topic was characters' choices. Why are they important? Why can and how can we understand a character with his or her choices? It was done with example, if you remember. If you don't remember, you can reread it from your notes. These are actually teacher's notes. I'll share these notes also with you, but there is no need for it because you have the detailed notes with you and you can study all these topics from there. We also discuss characters' speech, or what the characters say is important and why is it important, and how do we come to know about a character with the help of his or her speech. It was also done with example. Our next point was characters' thoughts and feelings. Why are the thoughts and feelings important, and how do we know about the thoughts and the feelings of characters? This was discussed. I'll not repeat it because you have already done it. This is just an overview. Characters' past is important because we are the product of our past, and different examples were given. This was a very long discussion, and for practical purposes, for the examination, you can cut the notes short so that you attempt the questions accordingly. Whatever is asked should be answered. You should manage it in a specific time, so you can cut it short according to the needs. We also discussed the characters' comment about each other. What do they say about each other with examples? And that was the end of the character analysis. So actually this is lecture number 2, which I said is lecture number 1 because in this recording it is lecture number 1. We discussed now theme analysis. What is theme? What is meant by theme? How theme emerges? And with examples it is done. We start with the overview that literature has 2 main functions to perform. Its first function is to entertain. We read literature, we read fiction, stories in order to be entertained. The second reason can be instruction. We can get instructions from a piece of novel or story. When are we entertained? We are entertained when we get involved with the situation of the characters. We get involved even with the characters. Then we start asking what will happen next. We are absorbed in the story and we forget about our problems. There is an escape from reality, though temporarily. So for a short time at least, we leave our own world, which is full of miseries and worries, and we enter the fictional world and we are entertained. Instruction emerge when we read about the people, about the characters, how they solve their problems, and we learn from their experiences, and as a result we are instructed. The authors consider their thoughts, their insights, their ideas, and their insights and ideas are actually those themes. When we study them, when we read them, they make us think about our lives and our values, and these can be, the theme can also be explained as the central idea in a work that is relevant with the theme. It is also referred to as unifying idea in a work because it unifies a work. And theme is often connected to this general subject of work. For example, if there is a love story, the theme will be connected to love. If it is a war story, the theme will be connected to war. But theme is actually not just a summary of the story. It is actually a statement about life in general. This statement is applicable to life in general, but this statement is not given to us directly in the story. It is quite indirect, and we infer this theme from the incidents which we read about. For example, let me explain this now in Urdu. ये उर्दू में भी सुन लें. हम थीम के बारे में ये कहते हैं कि देखें, लिटरेचर का जो फंक्शन है, 2 फंक्शन है. एक ये है लुत्फ़ उठाना, दूसरा है इंस्ट्रक्शन, हिदायत लेना. लुत्फ़ हम तब उठाते हैं जब हम कैरेक्टर्स के साथ इन्वॉल्व हो जाते हैं, सिचुएशन में इन्वॉल्व हो जाते हैं, या टीवी ड्रामास देखते हैं, फिल्म देखते हैं, उसमें भी इस तरह होता है. और हम ये इन्वॉल्व इसलिए हो जाते हैं कि हमें शक पड़ता है कि अभी इसके बाद क्या होगा और क्या मामला जाएगा. तो हम मालूमात चाहते हैं कि नेक्स्ट क्या होगा. हम अपने प्रॉब्लम्स भूल जाते हैं, कम अज़ कम टेम्परेरीली भूल जाते हैं अपनी रियलिटी को, उसे स्केप करते हैं, भाग जाते हैं. इंस्ट्रक्शन तब इमर्ज होती है जब हम देखते हैं कि लोग अपने प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व कैसे कर रहे हैं, तो हम भी सीख जाते हैं कि कैसे प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करना है. और जो ऑथर्स हैं वो अपनी समझ और अपनी आइडियाज़ आपको पेश करते हैं. यही वो थीम्स हैं. जब हम इनको पढ़ते हैं तो हम अपनी ज़िंदगी के बारे में, अपनी अक़दार के बारे में सोचने लगते हैं. थीम अक्सर सेंट्रल आइडिया के साथ रिलेटेड होता है. इस ये यूनिफाइंग आइडिया भी होता है क्योंकि तमाम वर्क को यूनिफाई करता है. और ये एक जनरल सब्जेक्ट ऑफ द वर्क से कनेक्टेड होता है। अगर कोई लव स्टोरी है तो थीम लव के मुताबिक होगा, अगर कोई वॉर स्टोरी है तो थीम कनेक्टेड टू वॉर होगा, और ये समरी नहीं होगी बल्कि ये एक स्टेटमेंट होगा जो कि एप्लीकेबल टू लाइफ इन जनरल होगा, डायरेक्ट नहीं होगा। ये हम अंदाज़ा लगाएंगे, इन्फर करेंगे इंसिडेंट से। And now we do the example. You already know about the short happy life of Francis Macamber. This is the story of Francis Macamber, written by Hemingway. In the beginning, he's a round character, as you know. In the beginning, he was a coward. He went on safari with his wife Margaret, and their safari leader was Robert Wilson. In the beginning, he was very coward, but later on he became very brave and was shot dead by his own wife. So, Short Happy Life of Francis Macamber is not just a story of American who got killed on safari. If we say this much, this will be the summary, it will not be the theme. So this is not the theme. This is not only the story about an American who got killed on safari. The writer is not only writing about Francis, he is writing about you and me, and he is telling us how we can master fear through courage. You can master fear through courage, not through cowardice. And short is identified as courageous, and courageous is identified as happy. So happy is that, this is the theme we get, in which fear is mastered through courage and death is accepted and overcome. You can overcome death only when you accept it. So this is the first example, Short Happy Life of Francis Macamber by Hemingway. There is a poem. We gave an example of a poem in order to explain our point. Theme, what is meant by theme. In this poem named Root by Milton Kaplan, is not that famous John Milton, it is Milton Kaplan. Love is compared with dandelion. Dandelion is a kind of, we call it in Urdu, ganda buti in Pashto, as well as in Urdu, useless, which we often take out and throw it because it can be a hurdle in the growth of the other plants. So that is it. And it is compared with dandelion because the writer wants to convey the idea that all loves are not satisfying. They send their roots deep into our hearts, as is the root of dandelion. So the theme is the statement about life based on characters, based on events. इसी को अब उर्दू में सुन लें। एक मिसाल हमने थीम की थी शॉर्ट हैप्पी लाइफ ऑफ फ्रांसिस मैकम्बर की। ये सिर्फ ये नहीं है कि ये एक अमेरिकन है, वो किल हुआ सफारी पे, ये बल्कि ये हमें कुछ मैसेज देता है, और वो मैसेज ये है कि फियर को अगर आपने ख़त्म करना है तो करेज के ज़रिए करना है, और आप करेज अपनाएंगे तो आप खुश होंगे। तो ये थीम इमर्ज होते हैं कि फियर इज़ मास्टर थ्रू करेज। दूसरा थीम डेथ अगर एक्सेप्ट हो जाए तो ये फिर आप इस पर फतह पा सकते हैं। मिल्टन कापलन का एक नज़म है, रूट उसका नाम है, और इसमें डेंडेलियन का पौधा है, उसकी रूट को डेंडेलियन गंदबूटी को कहते हैं। इसकी रूट गहरी जाती है, लेकिन ये जो रूट है ये फजूल किस्म की होती है, ज़ाहिर इसको निकाल के गिराते हैं हम। तो इससे पता चलता है कि जो लव है जिसको रूट से कंपेयर किया गया है डेंडेलियन के, ये ऑल लव सेटिस्फाइंग तो नहीं होंगे, लेकिन इनकी रूट्स और इनके असर बहुत ज़्यादा हो सकते हैं। तो ये हम एक जनरलाइज स्टेटमेंट लाइफ के बारे में देते हैं कैरेक्टर्स इवेंट्स के बेस पर। हाउ थीम इमर्जेस is the next topic, and this will be discussed in quite detail. How can we come to know about theme, how theme emerges? These are the different topics which we will discuss. For example, theme emerges, and we can find it by reading the work's title, the subject matter of the story, the statement of characters. We can talk about symbolic characters. Through them we can know about the theme. Setting can tell us about the theme. Imagery is important, and the work as a whole is also important. So we will now discuss them one by one, how theme emerges or how can we find out about the theme. The first thing is the title and the subject matter. Because the title of a story and the subject matter of the story of the work is chosen very carefully, because it is the first thing the reader reads. So the writer chooses this very carefully, and therefore it is very important in order to have clues about the theme or the theme analysis. For example, we again take the example of The Short Happy Life of Francis Macamba by Hemingway. The title is this, and the title actually focuses our attention on the general subject matter of one man's life. It says Short Happy Life of Francis Macamba. This one man's life is focused, but this life, he says, is short and this is happy. Why is this short? We try to find it out by reading the story. Why was it happy, and what is the concept of happiness as far as Hemingway is concerned? So when we search for why life is short but happy, specifically of Francis Macamba, we actually are searching for theme. Macamba, we come to know from the story that he has not been happy always because of two reasons. Number one, because of fear of his wife, and because of the fear of life in general. So he is afraid of these two. Then later on we see a change in him. He courageously faces his wife, and he sees death and life in the charge of a wounded buffalo. A buffalo is wounded, and the buffalo attacks and charges. There is a chance that they will be wounded by the buffalo, but he very bravely faces the buffalo and shoots the buffalo dead, and he becomes courageous. The title and the theme, this is with E, they are understood simultaneously. The title is Short Happy Life, Short Life, because Francis Macamba is soon killed by his own wife. It is happy because in this short life he became very happy when he was courageous. So the title and the theme are understood simultaneously. One is happy, you become happy when you face life and what it has with courage. And this one example is enough. If you want to do another example, that is the story The Lesson by K. de Bambera. And in this story, again, the title, The Lesson, provides us the clue to the theme, and we start thinking about what the lesson might be. And when we try to find this out, this actually would be the theme. What do we learn from it? And we find out that there is a group of black boys. These black boys live in ghetto, and they are taken to a toy shop, and the toys there are very expensive. They could be bought by the rich people, but they belong to the poor category. They cannot buy these expensive toys. And we learn with the children learn also that there is a gap between the upper class and the lower class in America, and there is a sense of injustice is felt by the children. तो ये हमारा पहला वर्क्स टाइटल इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि थीम कैसे आपको इमर्ज होता है, निकलता है, या थीम कहाँ से ढूंढे. टाइटल चुन के राइटर बड़े एहतियात से चूज़ करता है, क्योंकि रीडर पहले यही चीज़ पढ़ते हैं, तो इससे आपको अंदाज़ा, ये ज़रूरी नहीं है कि अंदाज़ा हो जाए, लेकिन ये हो भी सकता है. जैसे शॉर्ट हैप्पी लाइफ ऑफ फ्रांसिस मैकाम्बा को देखें, इसमें कहता है एक बंदे की लाइफ है फ्रांसिस मैकआवर, वो शॉर्ट है तो हम पूछते हैं शॉर्ट क्यों है, हैप्पी है तो शॉर्ट है तो हैप्पी कैसे है। तो जब हम इनके जवाब ढूंढते हैं तो हमें एक्चुअली हम थीम ढूंढते हैं और हमें ये पता चलता है कि जब इंसान करेजस बनता है तो अकॉर्डिंग टू हैविंग वे तो वो खुश होता है और इंसान लाइफ को कंकर कर सकता है जब उसको ब्रेवली फेस करे तो। दूसरा एग्जांपल लेसन का है, इसमें इस कहानी में सियाफाम बच्चे हैं जो कि बहुत गरीब घराने से ताल्लुक़ रखते हैं और गरीब घरों में रहते हैं। उनको टाई शॉप में ले जाया जाता है तो वहाँ पे ये सीखते हैं कि हम तो बड़े गरीब हैं, अपर क्लास के बच्चे आते हैं वो चीज़ें ख़रीदते हैं, ये नहीं ख़रीद सकते और इनको इनजस्टिस महसूस होती है और यहाँ से सेंस ऑफ इनजस्टिस का पता इनको चलता है और हमें भी पता चलता है। और तो यूँ इसका थीम इमर्ज होता है कि सोसाइटीज़ में गैप्स हैं और इनजस्टिसेस हैं। The next important place from where we can get the idea about the theme is the subject matter. How does the subject matter tell us about the theme, or how does the next yet another is the statement of the characters. The first two actually are included in this topic, the title and the subject matter, and the statements of characters is now discussed. The direct statements by characters sometimes embody theme. A character says something and that thing actually is the theme. The example is, one example is enough. If you have time, you can mention different examples. A and P is the name of the story. It is also the name of a shop, written by John Updike. In this story, Sammy is the protagonist and he is a clerk, also called teller. And this shop is very close to the beach. 3 women come to this shop in bathing suits and the owner of the shop objects. However, Sammy is in favor of these women, especially the one named Queenie, because she talks like a queen, not the actual name, but she talks like a queen, walks like a queen, so she is referred to as Queenie. And Sammy quits the job for their sake. This is the summary of the story, that Sammy quits the job, and when he quits the job he says this: I felt how hard the world was going to be to me hereafter. The world is going to be hard on him because he would now not have a job, and when he doesn't have a job he would not have money to buy things for himself, and this is very difficult for him. So the theme emerges that life is hard for those people who act on their beliefs. His belief is in people, not in policy, and that standing up for the rights of others demands sacrifice. That if you want to stand for the rights of others, you will have to sacrifice, give sacrifice, and he did this. This example is enough. I don't think this one is necessary, so do this first example only, because it's a very long discussion. The next point is, as you can see these points here, the next is the symbolic characters. How do we come to know about the theme? We come to know about the theme through symbolic characters. ये थोड़ा सा बता दूं उर्दू में ताकि आपको समझ आए. हमने इसमें ये पढ़ा कि डायरेक्ट स्टेटमेंट्स जो किरदार बोलते हैं वो भी कभी कभी थीम रखते हैं. ए एंड पी जॉन अपडाइक ने लिखा है और ये एक दुकान का नाम है, स्टोरी का नाम भी है. इसमें सैमी क्लर्क होता है और ये चूँकि बीच के करीब है दुकान, तो 3 औरतें बैदिंग सूट में आती हैं और जो मालिक है इस शॉप का वो एतराज़ करता है, जबकि सैमी को ये ज़्यादती लगती है और वो उनके फेवर में बात करता है, और ज़ाहिर है बॉस चूँकि आप अपने बॉस के ख़िलाफ़ जा रहे हैं तो आपको नौकरी छोड़नी पड़ेगी। ये नौकरी छोड़ता है और जाता है, और ये सेंटेंस बोलता है, जिससे हमें पता चलता है कि लाइफ जो है ये अगर आप अपनी बिलीफ पे एक्ट करते हैं तो फिर ये इतना आसान काम नहीं है, और दूसरों के हक़ के लिए सेक्रीफाइस देना पड़ता है। दूसरा एग्जांपल आप छोड़ सकते हैं, नो प्रॉब्लम। The next is symbolic characters. That theme can be found out with the help of symbolic characters. Sometimes the characters are there in a story, but these characters have symbolic values, and we have to understand those symbolic characters and their traits. These symbolic characters are created by the writers in order to make complex ideas concrete and easy, and abstract ideas concrete and easy. The example is The Horse Dealer's Daughter by D.H. Lawrence. In this story, we find a woman, Mabel, and she decides to commit suicide because she is very emotional, she is very moody, and she is very irrational. On the other hand, she is symbolic for these characteristics, symbolic character. On the other hand, we have a male character, Dr. Jack Ferguson. He is symbolic for rationality and for lack of emotionality. She is emotional, he is not emotional. She is irrational and he is rational. So they are used symbolically. Both these characters are brought together in a pond because she commits suicide and Jack Ferguson wants to save her, and both of them jump in. She had already jumped into the pond, and Ferguson also, Jack Ferguson, jumps into the pond to save her. So both jump into the same pond. This is a kind of union, and both of them get married after coming out of the pond. Normally this doesn't happen, that someone saves you and you get married to him or her. This doesn't happen, but as these characters are symbolic, we get the theme that there is a need to have balance of reason and emotion. So Jack is symbolic for reason, and Mabel is symbolic for emotion. When there is a combination of emotion and rationality, then you can lead a balanced life. This is the theme. We need to be whole people to be happy. A combination of emotion and reason. This is the whole people. So symbolic characters representing two sides of human nature, emotionality and rationality. तो ये दूसरा हमारा सब टॉपिक हुआ, symbolic characters. हमें symbolic characters से थीम का पता चल सकता है. सिंबॉलिक कैरेक्टर्स राइटर क्यों क्रिएट करते हैं? ताकि कॉम्प्लेक्स आइडिया कंक्रीट बन जाए, एब्स्ट्रैक्ट आइडिया कंक्रीट बन जाए, आसान हो अंडरस्टैंडिंग में. द हॉर्स डीलर्स डॉटर D.H. लॉरेंस ले का है. उसमें मेबल एक कैरेक्टर है, फीमेल, इमोशनल है, मूडी है, इरेशनल है, सुसाइड करती है एक पॉन्ड में जंप लगा के. जैक फर्गसन रैशनल है, इमोशनलिटी इसमें नहीं है, ये छलांग लगाता है और उसको बचाता है, और ये दोनों निकल के बाद शादी कर. आम तौर पे ऐसे नहीं होता, तो हम अंदाज़ा लगाते हैं कि ये किरदार लाजिमन ये कोई सिंबॉलिक वैल्यू रखते हैं, और सिंबॉलिक वैल्यू इनकी ये है कि दोनों जब इकट्ठे हो जाते हैं, इसका मतलब है कि ये रीज़न और इमोशनलिटी इकट्ठे हो गए हैं, और इसका मतलब ये है कि हमें होल पीपल होना चाहिए हैप्पी होने के लिए. तो सिंबॉलिक कैरेक्टर्स ये दो साइड ह्यूमन नेचर के रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, रेशनैलिटी और इमोशनैलिटी. नेक्स्ट वी कैन फाइंड आउट अबाउट द थीम विद द हेल्प ऑफ द सेटिंग. व्हाट इज सेटिंग? वी विल सेपरेटली डिस्कस this topic, setting, later on, but for the time being you should understand this much, that setting is the time and place of the story. Story happens in some place, that place is referred to as setting. It also happens in some time, that time is also called or referred to as setting. Writers use their setting to make or to convey the themes. It is important for theme conveyance. It often happens that when setting is unusually emphasized, when there is a lot of emphasis or it is described repeatedly, we come to know that this setting has some importance. For example, if we take the example of The Gift of Grass by Alice Adams, Barbara is the character. She is an interior decorator. She decorates houses. Her own house is beautifully decorated, but her daughter, Barbara's daughter, is confused and she turns to drugs. Now the theme which we get with the help of this setting, we will talk about setting in detail later on as a separate topic. With the help of this setting, the theme which emerges is that beautifully decorated house is not guarantee that messy problems will be solved here. So let me explain this in Urdu now. Setting topic हम डिटेल से करेंगे, लेकिन आप इतना समझ लें कि टाइम एंड प्लेस ऑफ स्टोरी ये सेटिंग कहलाता है. और जो ऑथर्स हैं अगर वो सेटिंग को बहुत एम्फेसाइज कर रहे हैं, उस पर जोर दे रहे हैं, बार बार कह रहे हैं, तो समझ लें सेटिंग इम्पॉर्टेंट है, टाइम एंड प्लेस. गिफ्ट ऑफ ग्रास जो कि एलिस एडम ने लिखा है, बारबरा इसमें कैरेक्टर है. ये ख़ुद इंटीरियर डेकोरेटर है, घरों को सजाती है, लेकिन उसकी बेटी ख़ुद कंफ्यूज है. तो थीम ये है कि अगर कोई घर सजा हुआ है तो इसकी ये गारंटी नहीं है कि वहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम्स भी जो कि पेचीदा मसले हैं वो भी सही तरीके से हल होंगे. सही तरीके से हल नहीं होते वहाँ पे. दिस इज़ द थीम विच यू गेट फ्रॉम देयर एंड यू हैव टू इन्फर द थीम. You do not get the theme automatically from there. Imagery is our next topic. Imagery helps us in finding out the theme. But what is imagery? Imagery, and once again we will discuss imagery separately as a separate topic because this is an important element of poetry, and I hope we have discussed it in the first semester also. Imagery actually appeals to our five senses. And with the help of imagery we can visualize the scene, we can visualize character and their actions, and as a result we participate in the work more fully when we understand the imagery. Example is these French words. These are French words. Dulcet decorum est. It is sweet and fitting to die for one's country by Wilfred Owen. This is the translation of these words. The images in this are of battle-worn soldiers and the victims of gas attacks, and we come to know that the theme is about the soldiers, about the war, and it is difficult, it is not easy, and it is not fitting actually to die for one's country, though the topic is it is sweet and fitting to die for one's country. So this is what imagery is about. हम imagery को डिटेल से डिस्कस करेंगे. ये अलग टॉपिक शायद हम कर भी चुके हैं इसको. जो चीज़ हमारे फाइव सेंसेस को अपील करती है वो इमेजरी कहलाती है, और इसके ज़रिए हमें एक सीन को देख सकते हैं, किरदार और एक्शन को देख सकते हैं, किसी वर्क में पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हैं. एक एग्जांपल इसमें है जिसमें नज़म का नाम है. नज़म से एग्जांपल हमने दी है कि इसमें इमेजरी है सोल्जर्स की जो कि लड़ते हैं, मैदान जंग में हैं, गैस अटैक से के विक्टिम्स हैं, और हमें ये पता चलता है कि टॉपिक तो ये है कि इट इज़ स्वीट एंड फिटिंग टू डाई फॉर वंस कंट्री, लेकिन एक्चुअली इट इज़ नॉट स्वीट एंड फिटिंग टू डाई फॉर वंस कंट्री. Work as a whole can also lead us to the theme. Work as a whole, includes incidents, plot, outcome, resolution, conflict, characters, and action. You already know about resolution. We will discuss plot also, and we have discussed it in Introduction to Drama, Introduction to Poetry in the first semester. The example here is the Glass Menagerie. It is the name of a drama by Tennessee Williams. There are parents who want to run their children's lives, plan to marry off daughter. These parents, they are intruding sort of parents, and this marriage also fails. Their children actually run from reality due to the parents' intrusion, and the theme emerges that interfering parents can cause pain to children. So they should not be interfering. Reality can't be changed unless faced. This is another theme which emerges. ये छोटा सा सब टॉपिक है कि वर्क एज ए होल. ज़ाहिर है जब कोई वर्क आप आधा पढ़ते हैं तो उससे तो आपको समझ नहीं आ सकती. एज ए होल जब पढ़ेंगे तो समझ आएगी. इंसिडेंट पढ़ेंगे, प्लॉट पढ़ेंगे, रिजोल्यूशन, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, कैरेक्टर, एक्शन से पता चलता है. एक ड्रामा है लेकिन इससे हमने एग्जांपल लिया है टेनेसी विलियम्स का, जिसमें पेरेंट्स जो है चाहते हैं कि अपने बच्चों की ज़िंदगी वो चलाएं, तो बच्ची की शादी कराते हैं, नाकाम हो जाती है और उसके बच्चे रियलिटी से भागते हैं. और थीम निकलता है कि जो पेरेंट्स ज़्यादा इंटरफेयर करते हैं बच्चों की ज़िंदगी में, उनकी ज़िंदगी ख़राब हो जाती है. What should be our response to themes? This is the final topic, and this will be the end of it. What is the effect of the themes on us? We try to find out the author's themes and views of life. We evaluate them in relation to our own lives. We compare the themes, and then we try to find out whether it fits our thoughts and feelings. Sometimes we accept these themes. If we accept them, that yes, okay, it's correct to get this theme, it enlarges our feelings, our sensibilities. Sometimes we may reject the theme. We may not agree with what the writer says. Our personal views, however, even then are clarified. So though through literature we learn about our life, about ourselves. They may not be directly related to our lives, but they may relate to our lives in future. So that was all about it. आखिरी वाला भी पढ़ लेते हैं. हमारा रिस्पॉन्स थीम को क्या होता है? हमारा रिस्पॉन्स थीम को ये होता है कि अगर हम इसके साथ एग्री करते हैं, एक्सेप्ट करते हैं, तो फिर हमारी फीलिंग्स और सेंसिबिलिटीज़ ज़्यादा एनलार्ज हो जाती हैं. अगर हम इसको रिजेक्ट करते हैं तो कम से कम हमारे जो वीव्स हैं वो क्लैरिफाई हो जाते हैं. ये इस तरह इसको कन्वर्ट करेंगे. ये और है इकट्ठा हो गया था टू आवर लाइव्स. तो ये अगर अभी एप्लीकेबल नहीं है तो शायद फ्यूचर में एप्लीकेबल हो. हमें बहरहाल इससे फ़ायदा मिलता है. सो दैट्स ऑल अबाउट द टॉपिक. थैंक यू एंड गुड लक. इसकी जो तफसील है वो आपके पास मौजूद है. अपने नोट से इसको पढ़ें. थैंक यू वेरी मच.